Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series we follow opening principles, middle game strategies and the endgame strategies. Today we're continuing with some middle game strategies. Today we'll talk about the difference between chess strategy and chess tactics. So with this difference of between chess strategy and chess tactics, I'm gonna start a new series. These videos all will be added in this Basics in Chess series, but I'll create also a separate playlist because I think this is really important for you to see in order to get a better understanding about the positions and also improve your planning skills in the middle game. So this middle game strategies, as I said, will be a separate series because here we will try to somehow connect the chess strategy with some chess tactics, because chess tactics basically happen when you play a good strategy. And the main difference in chess is that this chess strategy is this long-term plan or long-term goal which we are playing. This chess strategy can be maybe to play against an isolated pawn. Your opponent can have an isolated pawn, then you play simply a blockade against this isolated pawn. So this would be sort of a long-term plan in our position. But chess tactics we use, the chess tactics are really sort of a sequence of moves, so maybe 5 or 6 moves in which you're trying to make this strategy work, because we need some tactics. Maybe we have to undermine some pressure in the center, and then we can play this main idea to create the blockade against this isolated pawn. Another chess strategy can be maybe in this opposite side attack games, in which we are trying to create an early flank attack, and again we are using tactics, maybe some pawn sacrifices just in order to open the position and make this flank attack work. But the most important thing about chess strategy is that the chess strategy can change. So when you start maybe to make a flank attack in the beginning and your opponent makes something else, he makes maybe a mistake, then the direction of the strategy can really change. Maybe we can play on another weakness. So maybe this flank attack can turn into a game in which we have this isolated pawn weakness, and we then continue on this isolated pawn idea. So I remember when I was young, I think I was like 9 years old, and I saw a really cool game in the Dragon Sicilian defense in which white checkmated black. And then I called my father, and then I told him, I want to play you now, play the dragon. I've seen a cool line and I'm gonna crush you for sure. And then we played, and I wasn't satisfied with the outcome of the game at all, because the game has changed into another direction. And then my father told me a very interesting thing. He said, the goal can change in the game. Maybe you have started the game to checkmate your opponent, but then the game really transposes into another weakness, and you missed your main strategy because you were stuck to this particular strategy to checkmate your opponent and didn't realize other weaknesses. So the weaknesses, the main weaknesses in your opponent's position are weak squares and weak pawns. Remember that, because this is really important. Weak pawns and weak squares are the basic strategies in chess. So we are trying to occupy our opponent's weak square or attack weak pawns. So let's see now a couple of examples of this very important strategies. So as said, these videos will be separated. We'll create a new playlist. It will be chess strategy and tactics, but these videos will be also added in my Basics in Chess series. But I think really this is very important, so you have to have them separated in order to improve really your planning skills in the middle game. So here is the position. It was a game played by Isaac Boleslavsky against Gregory Lisitsin. Both of these players are top grandmasters from the last century, and here we have a position. We have this common opposite side attack game. So in this opposite side attack games, you see both of the players have castled on separate sides. So the main strategy here, so as I said, the main strategy is to create a flank attack from black's perspective, maybe something like a6 b5 to launch here maybe a minority attack, maybe get use of the c file and try to open somehow the position against white's king. On the other hand, white's main idea is to play something like g4, h4, h5, and then maybe trade off this Tusky bishop, which is the key defender, maybe play something queen on h6, and with the support of this rook create also very dangerous checkmate threats on the h file. But here after queen on a5, Georgy Lisitsin played here queen on a5. Now we have king on b1 by Boleslavsky, and now we have e5. This is now a really critical moment of the game, because after bishop on e3, here the game has really changed. It's not about anymore creating flank attacks, because we have now a different pawn structure. So now we can use this main idea. Here it's the weak square or weak pawn position. So in this position, in black's position, we have a weak square on d6, and we have weak pawn on d6 and a weak square on d5. So we don't have to rush anymore into this flank attack with g4 and h4. We can play simply against these two weaknesses. So let's see how Isaac Boleslavsky did it. Here, bishop on e6 played by Lisitsin. We have a3, knight from f to d8 was played, and now knight on g5, attacking the weak pawn. As I said, the main strategy, the best strategy, is really to play against weak pawns and weak squares. So here queen on a4 was played, and now we have c4. This is a very, very nice tactical shot. Here you see now Isaac Boleslavsky used tactics in order to make his strategy work. So here after bishop on c4 we have knight on c3 attacking the queen, queen on b3, bishop takes c4, queen c4, we have bishop on g5, and as I said, our main goal is to create an attack against this weak pawn on d5, and the key defender of this d5 square is the knight on f6. Although Isaac Boleslavsky gave up a pawn, but now after queen on e6, bishop f6, queen on f6, we have knight on d5, and we have now a very, very nice piece here, which is centralized. The most important thing about this knight on d5, that it cannot be attacked by any minor piece. You see, black doesn't have anymore the light square bishop, because he gave it up, he traded it off, because here Isaac Boleslavsky played this very nice move c4, and now it's really easy now to continue this game. We can battle here on the c file, going into favorable endgame, because we can attack these pawns, and this knight is too powerful here for black to handle. So as I said, the main strategy has really changed here, because in the beginning, in this opposite side attack games, we tried to play g4, h4, h5, but now after the move e5, okay, black had his fun, had a tempo, but he created new weaknesses. He created this weak pawn on d6, and also the weak square on d5. This whole the whole PGNs of these games will be in the description below, so you can analyze the whole games. I just wanted to show you how Isaac Boleslavsky really used tactics in order to make his strategy work. But it was a new strategy, because as I said, the strategy can really change. So let's see now another example. We have the game Vasily Smyslov against Samuel Reshevsky, and here Samuel Reshevsky played the move knight on g6. Something has changed. Here we have a so-called dynamic center, and the best way to play in the dynamic positions is to keep your pieces towards the center, to keep them compact. But now after knight on g6, something has changed. Now we have a weak square. I just wanted to pause the video and try to find the weak square in black's position. Just take your time, it's not so easy, but it's really a weak square, because the knight has removed, and of course it's here it's the square d5. So Vasily Smyslov, one of the best chess players from the last century, of course finds this very nice maneuver with the knight. He played knight on c4, bishop on e7, here castling, knight on e3, cementing the knight here on the d5 square. So the bishop on f6, he would knight on d5, we have rook on e8, and now very nice move, d takes e5, we have bishop takes on e5, pawn takes e5. If knight takes on e5, then we have f4, and we would then have a new strategy, because after the move f4, our whole game would be based on this pawn majority. So this first of all, we had this piece centralization to find the weak square. We found it, but now after the move f4, I think we can apply a new strategy, which is this pawn majority. So we have here a 4-on-3 situation against black's king. So our attack would be probably coordinated with something like h3, g4, and similar ideas. Even f5 is possible. So we would simply play on a new strategy, and our new strategy would be, as I said, this pawn majority. But in the game, d takes e5 was played, and now we have a centralized piece. We have really sort of an outposted knight, and now we have a new strategy. When we have an outpost, when we create a powerful piece in the center of the board, then you have to play simply around this particular piece. So when you have this outpost, simply play around this knight. So you have to even maybe sometimes reload the piece if something trade off this knight, maybe bishop on e6. Then if bishop takes, then you have to have another piece which can occupy this very weak square on d5. So let's see how Vasily Smyslov did that. So bishop on queen on f3, we have bishop e6, rook on d1, and now bishop takes d5, rook takes on d5. So it's even possible to create an outpost with your rook. So here queen on e7 was played, now queen on f5. Again, Vasily Smyslov attacks the weak squares in black's position, and again we have a weak square and the f5 because it's not protected. On the other hand, I hope you realize that white doesn't have so many weak squares. We can try maybe knight on h4, but it's really not a problem. We can play simply queen on g3. Knight on f4 is not possible because we have a perfect control of this f4 square because it's supported by this dark square bishop. And after queen on f5, knight on f8 was played, bishop on e3. Here we have knight on e6, and now of course rook on d1. As I said, when you have a centralized piece, simply play around this centralized piece. So now this rook on d1 comes also with the idea, if we trade off maybe the rooks, then this other rook will come also on this very powerful d5 square, and we can continue our attack. So in the game, rook from e to d8 was played, now g3, and now d6 was played by black. And now we have again a different position. Here Vasily Smyslov played a very nice idea. He played rook takes on d6. So now the strategy will change because black has to recapture with the c pawn. C takes d6, and we have a new position. Again, we created this position in which we have this d5 weak square and also this d6 weak pawn. So now our main idea is to attack maybe here another weak square with bishop on b6, but I hope you realize that now black has not a good position because he has to always defend this d6 pawn, and advancing the pawn is not possible because this bishop on b3 is very powerful, and we have also some discovered attack possibilities on f7. Again, I'm not going to show you the whole game. I hope you realized how Vasily Smyslov, pardon me, first created this outpost of the knight, played around this piece with the piece centralization, simply reloaded some pieces on the d5 square, and then after black tried to double up rooks here on the d file, he simply took and created many weaknesses in black's position. So this is really a good position to continue from here for white. So let's see now our last example of this game. It's really an early stage of the game. It's a game played by Mikhail Botvinnik against Isaac Boleslavsky. And now we have again a problem here for black. In the game, black tried c5. And it seems like an aggressive move, but here black risked to create an isolated pawn. In the game, Mikhail Botvinnik took e takes d5. We have e takes d5, and now bishop on b5. We have knight on c6, and now knight on f3. Here is the problem. After bishop on d6, we have castling, knight on e7, and now here white simply took. So here we have now the position in which black has an isolated pawn. So now our main strategy, the main strategy against an isolated pawn, is to create a blocking system. So we should always try to create a very powerful blockade on the square d4, because we are not allowing our opponent to advance the pawn. If he advanced maybe here the d4 pawn, it could be really dangerous. But now after bishop takes on c5, knight on b3 is perfectly fine. It comes with the attack against the bishop and also creates this powerful blockade on d4 square. So as I said, now our main strategy is to create this blocking system against this isolated pawn. So bishop on b6 was played, bishop on e3, again with the same idea. You see, when you know your strategy, you can find really the best moves. Now bishop on e3, perfectly fine. Also supporting even more the d4, forcing your opponent to trade off this dark square bishops. And you see, this bishop on e3, it's sort of a one move chess tactic in which we are again playing on our strategy. Here after bishop on e3, we have bishop on c6 first, b takes c6, f takes e3, castling, and now queen on d2. So now if we evaluate the position, we have again the position in which black has really several weaknesses. Here on dark squares, it's the weak square c5. it's the weak square e5. Of course, this is not the square on our other side of the board, so this d4 we cannot count it as a weakness, but there is also this weakness on c6. So now the main weaknesses in black's position are this pawn on c6 and the weak squares on c5 and e5. So we should really attack these weaknesses. Queen on b6, again queen on c3, attacking the c6 but also attacking the c5 weak square. So very nice move here. Queen, rook on b8, we have rook on b1, rook on e8, rook on e1, knight g6, knight c5, very nice move, and now bishop on g4. Here black is trying to give up maybe his bad bishop, because this bishop, although it has a good diagonal, but it's a little bit blocked out by these two pawns on c6 and d5. Here a knight on d4, so that's why Mikhail Botvinnik didn't allow this trades of pieces. Here we have a knight on e5 and now b4. We are simply supporting our very nice outpost of the knight. In the game, rook on d8 was played, now e4. Because the center is fixed, we can now try really to open the position somehow. We have d takes e4, rook takes on e4, and now a5. Of course, a3, we are supporting even more this very well placed knight here on c5. After a takes b, a takes b4 was played, and now f6. You see, black is also trying to fix his knight here on e5, and now we can play simply rook on e1. Again, now when we have the pieces on the best squares, basically all of these pieces of white are good squares. The knight is very well placed here on c5. This knight is good on d4. The queen is on a good diagonal and also on a good file, on a good rank. And we have now a very nice rook connection. We have a very nice battery on the e file. So now basically our main idea is to somehow crack the position. When we have the position in which the pieces are on best squares, then you have to crack somehow the position. So king on h8 here, king on h1, getting out of this potential diagonal checks here. Bishop on d7 was played, and now very nice move, knight takes on d7, rook on d7, and now queen on c6. Very nice move, because of course these two rooks are not connected anymore on the 8th rank, and now if you take of course the queen, then it's checked here. So you see, with this pawn up, Mikhail Botvinnik won this game very easily. Again, I'm not showing you the whole game. All of the 3 examples that I showed you now will be in the description below, and you can analyze really the whole games, but here I just wanted to show you how Mikhail Botvinnik got a pawn in this very dynamic middle game and won the game eventually. So okay, I hope you realize these ideas. I hope also that you enjoyed this video. We'll continue now with this chess strategy and tactics videos. I think this will be very important, because tactics basically happen because we made some good strategies. Then we have possibility to create some tactical shots, to create really some open positions, to give some checkmate threats and similar ideas. And I think this will be really one of the most important series here on my YouTube chess channel. Okay, meanwhile you can watch my other basics in chess series with some more opening principles, middle game strategies, and the end game strategies videos. And you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles videos, in which I show you all of the possible tactical motifs that can happen in a chess game. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.